It was time to put them to the ultimate test. It was risky, but you don't become a world leader without taking risk. So engineers in Mobil's Paulsboro, New Jersey Research Center filled a brand new BMW 325i with Mobil 1 fully synthetic motor oil and Mobil Super Unleaded Plus. Ran it on the street a little over 1,000 miles to break it in. Then started a test that ran night and day for the next 4 years. By the time they stopped, the engine had run over 1 million miles, like driving 40 times around the world. The objective was to determine just how well Mobil 1 fully synthetic motor oil would protect engine parts, and how well Mobil Super Unleaded Plus gasoline would keep fuel system components, injectors, lines, and fuel pump clean and free-flowing. Engine oil was changed every 7,500 miles per BMW's maximum recommendations. Used oil was saved and analyzed, oil consumption carefully measured. The goal was to keep the engine in top condition and use test data to document the superior performance of Mobil 1 and Mobil Super Unleaded Plus. They started with the 50,000-mile American Automobile Manufacturers Association 55-mile-per-hour durability cycle, a tough stop-and-go certification test. Then turned up the heat for the rest of the test with a high-speed durability cycle that simulates severe highway driving, up to 85, down to 40, over and over. They kept this up for 1 million miles. They followed BMW's recommended maintenance schedule to the letter. Spark plugs, air filters, coolant, transmission fluid, and filter changed. Valve clearance adjusted every 30,000 miles. Oxygen sensor and drive belt every 60,000 miles, and so forth. A grueling 4 years later, the magic moment. 1 million miles, the equivalent of 66 years of normal driving. Mobil 1 and Mobil Super Unleaded Plus make wear protection history. Let's look. Oil on overhead cams and rocker arms is clear and clean. The top assembly comes off easily. Valves clean. Overall engine wear is extremely light. Amazingly, cylinder bore and crankshaft measurements were on average within new engine factory specifications. In the critical area of valve train wear, after more than 1 billion revolutions, intake cam lobes only wore an astonishingly low average of 12 ten-thousandths of an inch, and the exhaust cam lobes only wore an average of 19 ten-thousandths of an inch. Cam followers show only moderate wear and are still in excellent operating condition. Except for slight mushrooming on a few valve stems, all parts are suitable for reassembly and continued engine operation. The valve train still functions properly, no decrease in engine performance. There's only one word for overall cleanliness: exceptional. There's so little buildup, the pan literally falls away from the block. Oil pump and crankshaft almost spotlessly clean. Throughout, sludge deposits are very low. Piston and cylinder varnish is medium. The oil screen shows no deposits, and the number of rings that were stuck or tight was exactly 0. Intake valves, combustion chamber, pistons, excellent cleanliness, considering the engine has over 1 million miles on it. This is a tribute to the outstanding detergency of Mobil Super Unleaded Plus and superior performance of Mobil 1. Fuel injectors, often changed by 100 to 150,000 miles, were changed at 680,000 miles, but still showed no signs of fouling or clogging. At the end of the test, even though the second set had over 320,000 miles on them, 5 of the 6 fuel injectors looked brand new. One showed some deposit dirt, but did not clog. All flowed within the specification of new BMW injectors. Crankshaft end play? Perfect. Crank journals look brand new. Ring wear is extraordinary. Top ring end gap measurements are within tolerances for new across the board. Second ring gap, less than 4/1000ths of an inch over tolerances for brand new. Cylinder walls are smooth and unscored. Varnish is medium. There is no wear ridge around the top of the cylinder where piston ring travel stops, and no combustion deposit ridge. Typically, wear and deposit ridges show up clearly by 80,000 miles. Yet in this case, at over 1 million miles, these classic signs of wear just aren't there. This is the kind of deposit and wear you'd expect to find in an engine that has run only 10,000 miles, not a million. In fact, the wear on the million-mile engine cylinders is astonishingly low, only 5/10,000ths of an inch in a million miles. Combustion deposits on the piston tops and chamber, remarkably low. Valve deposits, the same. Rated on a CRC scale of cleanliness, we have an extraordinary 9.6 out of a possible 10. Chalk up another triumph for the 1-2 cleaning power punch of Mobil 1 fully synthetic motor oil and Mobil Super Unleaded Plus gasoline. To put this rating in practical terms, it's all about easy starting, smooth idling, and trouble-free driving with increased power and fuel economy. Main bearings show virtually no wear and only slight scratches. Rod bearing number 5 has some overlay wiped off. On average, rod and main bearing clearances are only slightly greater than specified for a new engine. Rod bearing wear was also remarkably low. It was only 2/10,000ths of an inch over BMW specs for new parts. Oil consumption over the entire test was extremely low. There was virtually no measurable consumption during the first 230,000 miles. Over the entire test, consumption averaged less than a quart every 25,000 miles. Even the exhaust system stayed remarkably clean. Emissions were measured at 50,000-mile intervals and at the end of the test. Even though converters were changed only at 200,000-mile intervals, catalysts kept levels of carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, and nitrogen oxides within the world's toughest government certification standards, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. All these parts, valve train, fuel injectors, pistons, rings, cylinders, pumps, screens, were subjected to 1 million miles of wear and tear. Yet most of them are within tolerances for new parts. The average car runs about 15,000 miles a year. So this car has run the equivalent of 66 years. Or, to put it another way, it's as if we drove it 40 times around the world. Who knows how many more miles it will run, especially if you keep it clean with Mobil Super Unleaded Plus and protect it with Mobil 1 fully synthetic motor oil. You may not want to drive your car for 66 years, but here's 1 million miles of proof that you could if you wanted to. 1 million miles, still running strong. That's performance. Performance you can buy by the tank or by the bottle.